that's good. Welcome to an episode of Jay Leno's Garage. We're in the Ford section here of my garage. You know I'm a big Ford fan. I got my 63.5 Sprint Falcon, my Ford GT, my Taurus Shogun, the 427, and of course, all reliable, the GT350 Mustang. This was always my favorite, the Shelby GT350. But if there was ever a true successor to this car, it would have to be this one here, the new Boss 302. This, I think, is the best balanced of all the new Mustangs. I got a chance to drive the new Shelby, the 660 horsepower, incredibly fast, but there's something about this package that I like. And let's bring in the head of Mustang, Chief Engineer Dave Pericak. Chief Engineer?
Chief Engineer.
Chief Engineer, good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
Yeah, you know, I always liked the 302, even back in the day.
Yep.
The Shelby, of course, the first one, then the 302, then the Boss, and now this is the latest incarnation of that vehicle. Tell us about it.
So, you know, it's been over 40 years since the Boss 302 has been around. And so we took this project on. We have underneath the hood, we have starting with the basis of the 5-liter. And we've upped the ante quite a bit. So we're putting out 444 horsepower, Jay.
And what was the original Boss? It was about 307 horse?
Yeah, it was just over 300 horsepower.
And that was considered incredible back in the day.
A lot, yeah, that was huge back then. So we're at 444, all naturally aspirated. The engine had to be completely sort of overhauled, if you will, in order to, we rev at 7,500 RPM.
Wow.
And that is the heart of this machine. And then it builds from there, right? You said it's the best balance. You're absolutely right. All the systems working together. So you look at the suspension. Suspension's been completely tuned, mainly for the track. You can still drive this car on the road and get a comfortable ride out of it. But we've got adjustable shocks and struts on all 4 corners. We've upsized our bars and our springs, and everything has been all retuned. And then when we get to when we get down to the wheels and tires, that was another obviously important part of this machine, tying that horsepower down. So we've got staggered wheels. This is the Laguna. This is the highest level Boss that we have. So you have 9-inch wheels in the front, 10 on the back, and you have 255 R compound Pirelli tires up front and 285 in the back. You've got Brembo 4-piston brakes, 14-inch rotors, and then what we did, Jay, to really connect your foot to that, your brake pedal right to that corner, is we got low expansion brake lines on all 4 corners.
Yeah,
too.
okay.
So you really get great stopping out of
By
the
that
vehicle.
you mean almost like steel brake lines?
Almost like steel, but they're not steel, but very low expansion, almost like steel.
I see. Is it still a rubber brake line?
It is. Yes.
Okay, but just a rubber that doesn't
Exactly.
give. Okay.
That's absolutely right.
Very cool.
Yep. Top speed on this vehicle is 155 miles an hour. We have quad exhaust. So 2 ports out the back and 2 ports out the side here.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and that was really part of giving you that whole experience. Again, all the systems balanced and working together.
Give us the specifics of this engine.
So this is a 5-liter engine, all aluminum, dual overhead cam, independent cam control, so we can control our intake and our exhaust independently of one another.
When I was a kid, the hot engine was Ford built a 265 4-cam V8. I think it ran at Indy, and I think it ran in one of the Ford GTs.
Right.
And that seemed like the most exotic motor. Oh my God, 4 cams, just crazy.
Right.
And now, of course, we've reached where it's in a production vehicle.
Yeah, isn't it? It's fantastic. And then you have this intake here is unique to the Boss 302.
Okay.
So it's what we call a runner-in-the-box system, and it's got velocity stacks in there.
Okay.
So really controlling and getting as much flow as you can. Now, one of the interesting factors, Jay, on this car that most people don't know, every Boss engine goes through 2.5 hours of machining of the heads.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, just to get the ports and everything perfect, so that we can get that torque and the power that we're looking to get out of the engine. So 302 cubic inch, putting out a lot of torque and a lot of power.
So it actually is 302 cubic inch.
It absolutely is 302 cubic inch.
And that equals 5 liters. See,
Yes, sir.
In my day, we talked cubic, and liters were like, I don't know what that. The first time I ever heard liters was my dad's car, the 66 Galaxy 7-liter, which was 428 cubic inches. This, of course, 5-liter 302. And like I say, a 4-cam. You open the hood of an Aston Martin engine, and that V8 is basically same thing, 4-cam, except it's $200,000 more. This is your air intake here. Let me ask you something, because this is something I see a lot of guys do. I imagine this has been tuned to maximum airflow.
It absolutely has.
These aftermarket things where you say, oh, put in this kind of filter and you'll increase horsepower. Can you do better than stock? Is it possible?
No longer. You used to be able to.
Yeah.
No, this is the best intake you're going to get.
Yeah.
You can do it for show. You know, you can go open filter and things like that.
Right.
You're not going to see the benefits that you've seen.
Not going to see any benefit, because I always wonder about that. You know, it's like when sound systems first came out, an aftermarket sound system was always better than stock, and now we've reached the point where Bose and everybody is stock.
Exactly.
And of course, you're not going to do better in terms of horsepower and emissions than that stock filter.
Nope.
Okay, very
Nope.
good, very good. Okay, let's close the hoodie, and of course I always hear from people, I call that the Monte Carlo
tower-to-tower
bar.
brace. Yeah.
Tower-to-tower brace, Monte Carlo bar. Of course.
Torsional rigidity. We also, in the Laguna, we took the rear seat out and we have a brace back there as well.
Right.
For torsional rigidity.
Yeah, and what do these go for?
So the Laguna is about $52,000.
Right.
And the standard Boss is about $47,000.
And how much lighter is this engine than the big block 427 with the supercharger?
Well over 100 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This always seemed like the more sensible package, the more sports car package. Obviously, if you're going to go drag racing, that big 600.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
There's no replacement for displacement.
I drove that. It's unbelievable. It has a lot of power. But this, I'm anxious to drive it because this seems like a more balanced package. I love the shifter. I love the shift knob, the short throw shift knob in there.
The seats are Recaro seats, Jay.
Right.
They feel fantastic when you're out on the road.
Again, you know, there's not much upgrade you can do to these anymore. You know, they used to sell the quick shift linkage and all, you know, the aftermarket stuff. But this is better than aftermarket, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's walk around. You mentioned the exhaust before. Let's take a look at the rear of the car.
Yep, and the axle, I don't know if I told you, but we're running a 373
Oh,
torsion.
373 rear end. Oh, okay.
Yeah, with a torsion differential in it.
Are there other ratios that people can buy?
Not with the Boss 302.
No.
No. So the Boss 302 is going to be standard 373. The only option you get, if it's a Laguna, it comes standard with a torsion diff.
I mean, but could a person buy from the factory a 411 if they wanted?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
The 373 is the highest ratio that we have available on a Mustang.
Right.
And like I said, the Boss comes standard with that. If you get a GT, you've got options on actual ratios.
Well, it's certainly a good-looking car. You know, it's pretty compact. It's got a nice stance to it, and a 6-speed.
6-speed, absolutely, which is standard in all the Mustangs now.
Is there an optional automatic on these or no?
Not on the Boss 302,
Not on the Boss,
but
right.
we do have Mustangs with automatic, obviously 6-speed automatic transmission as well.
Right. Dave, tell me about this trick spoiler here. What do we got? Is this an adjustment?
So you can adjust the splitter. Jay, that splitter's been designed for obviously downforce and keeping this car planted at high speeds. So that splitter produces about 90 pounds of downforce at about 120 miles an hour.
Okay, very good.
So it keeps the car very tied to the track. You know, you can see the balancing spoiler in the rear as well. So together they work to keep it planted.
And obviously adjustments are here and here.
Correct.
And it's not low enough that you're going to rip it off going down the driveway.
You're not going to rip it off going down the driveway.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Oil cooler in here as well?
There is an engine oil cooler on this car. Cooling is a big deal, obviously, out on the track. And then your fog lamp deletes here, Jay, actually are removable for 2013, so that you can open up even the airflow coming through the grill.
Oh,
too,
very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very
definitely
nice.
made to go out and track this car.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I don't know. I find this car fascinating because I grew up in that era when the late 60s, early 70s, suddenly Mustangs, Camaros, Trans Ams, as sports cars, as balanced packages, started to come into play. And that was the most exciting series to me, that whole Trans Am thing of the 70s, when you saw cars you could buy on the street with guys like Parnelli Jones out racing them, you know, and they go down Monday morning and order yours just like the one Parnelli raced in, you know. And that's what's kind of cool. This seems like a really nice package, much like, you know, the big 427 Cobras, although they're sexy, they didn't really win many races. The one that won all the races was a nicely balanced 289 Cobra. You know, because it was just a lighter, more balanced package. I think that's probably the case with this as well. So let's take it for a ride. Well, we're ready to start. We have our mandatory giant key. All cars have giant keys now.
You have two different keys, Jay.
What do I have here?
You have what's called a track key.
Right. Oh.
See this red one here?
Right.
We change over 300 parameters in this vehicle. When you insert that key, it changes the attitude of this machine.
Does it light up and tell you have track key in?
It will tell you that you have track key on.
Track key active. Track use only. Yeah, sure. It's really responsive. You know, the one thing I like about my 65 is the engine just so loose, and this feels as loose as that. It's very responsive. As much as I like superchargers and turbochargers, there's nothing like a naturally aspirated vehicle, because everything happens right now. Well, it's a lot of fun to drive. You know, I was one of those kids on April 17th, 1964, with my nose pressed up against the dealer glass, waiting to see the new Mustang when it came to town. So this is like a big thrill. As we said before, this engine's pretty exotic. You have 302 cubic inches, 5 liter, 4 cam, 4 valves per cylinder. That's something you used to only get in Europe. Great sound.
See how she pulls like a freight train?
It really does, very nice. And it's pretty amazing. You can set it up just about any way you like. Oh, you can do your oil life reset yourself. That's nice. You don't have to go back to the dealer every time you change the oil.
Nope, you can do it right through that menu.
You know, this thing is great. I think I like it better than the big Shelby 500. It does feel like a more complete package. And you know, 440 horse, is that what it is?
444.
440 horsepower is pretty powerful. You know, the most powerful car you could buy in America in the 90s was that 350 horsepower Corvette. Then the Viper came along with 400 and a V10, and that seemed like the end of the world. This has got 440, but the nice thing is, it really feels like a sports car. Something is really cool. Look at this here. You can adjust your steering feel. You got comfort, standard, and sport. I've got it on sport now. You know, I'm not an electronic guy, but I'm always astounded at the level of sophistication you can get in a car in this price range. You can adjust your suspension, you can adjust your steering input. It's pretty amazing. And the greatest thing is, show me that other feature. Where's the oil life? Look at this. I hate having to go back to the dealer to reset the oil life on my car when they change the oil. You know, this you can do it all yourself. This is really meant to be a driver-owner car.
Absolutely.
And that's what's really nice about it. Although I like a lot of horsepower doesn't cure everything. And this is just a nicely balanced package that's also really, really fast. Come on, let's take it up on the freeway. Let's see, at 65 miles an hour, I'm turning about 1900 RPM in 6th gear. So if you're on a trip, you'll probably get reasonable mileage with it. Yeah. I like the sport steering, it's very nice. Now there was a time when you'd say Mustang and sports car and people would kind of snicker. But, you know, I think those days are gone forever. I think this qualifies as a real sports car. Well, I gotta say, nothing against the Shelby guys, but I think I like this better. This seems like a better overall package to me than the big 600 horsepower car. Or a 660, isn't it?
662.
662, that's pretty amazing. This feels more like a sports car to me. But then again, it's still a Mustang, and the big question is, will it do a burnout?
It will, Jay.
Let's find out. Yeah, that's good. It's still a Mustang. See you guys next week. Dave, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jay.